The ground trembles before sunrise, shaking Liora awake. A strange silver light spills across the desert sand as if the sky has cracked open. "Iliev, do you hear that?" she whispers, her voice tight. A deep humming sound rolls over the dry camp, making tents shiver. Iliev stumbles beside her, eyes wide. Why is the sky glowing? What's hiding behind the clouds? The light brightens fast, sweeping across the faces of the tired Israelite families. Miriam gasps. Moses turns sharply, staff tight in his hand. "Stay close," he warns. The humming grows louder, circling above them like something unseen is rushing down. Suddenly, the light flickers, then snaps to a stop, hovering right over the camp. The wind dies. The world freezes. And then, something begins to fall from the sky. The light vanishes as quickly as it appeared, leaving the camp in sudden darkness. Mothers hold their children close. A low murmur spreads through the tents. Liora clutches Eliav's arm, her heart thumping. "Was that a warning?" she asks. Moses steps forward, lifting his staff. "Do not fear," he calls, his voice calm but strong. "God sees you. God hears you." The people fall silent. Miriam steps up beside him, her steady presence comforting. "We must stay together," she says softly. But hunger twists through the crowd like a quiet storm. Whispers turn to worry. "We have no food." Someone cries, "Will we starve?" Liora looks at the empty sand and feels fear settle in her chest. The sun rises hot and heavy. The family search the desert floor but find nothing. No plants, no animals, only endless sand. Liora and Iliev walk together, kicking at rocks. "What if God forgot us?" Iliev says quietly. Liora shakes her head even though her stomach aches. "No, he brought us here. He must have a plan." Moses gathers the people again. "God will not leave you," he says. But doubt ripples through the crowd like heat waves. The children watch the grown-ups' worried faces and feel their own hope slipping. The complaints grow louder. Families gather around Moses, desperate. "We had food in Egypt." Someone shouts, "Why bring us out here to die?" Moses closes his eyes, hurt. Liora watches him, feeling a deep ache in her chest. She whispers, "Why is everyone so angry?" Eliav kicks the sand. "Because they're scared." The wind picks up as if pushing their worries across the desert. Miriam steps forward, touching Moses' arm. "They are tired," she says softly. Moses nods, then lifts his eyes toward heaven with a silent plea. Moses steps away from the crowd and falls to his knees in the quiet sand. "Lord, your people are afraid," he whispers. "Please help them see you have not left us." Liora watches from a distance. She slowly reaches for Eliav's hand. "Do you think God heard him?" she asks. Eliav nods softly. "I hope so." A gentle breeze moves across the camp like an unseen answer. Moses rises, peace settling in his eyes. "Tomorrow," he says to the people, "you will see the Lord's glory." Liora feels a spark of hope flicker inside her. By morning, the heat feels heavier than usual. The sun rises like a burning coin, pressing down on the tired camp. Liora wipes sweat from her forehead as she and Iliev follow the family searching again for food. Nothing. Only rocks, sand, and silence. "There has to be something," Iliev mutters, kicking at a stone. Liora forces a hopeful smile, but her stomach growls loudly. Miriam walks nearby, comforting a crying child. Moses stands on a ridge, looking across the endless dry land with a troubled gaze. The people begin murmuring again, their voices low and sharp. Fear grows like a shadow over the entire camp. As the morning drags on, frustration spreads. A group gathers around Moses. We can't keep walking with no food. One man cries. Children cling to their parents, their faces pale with hunger. Liora holds her stomach and looks up at Moses. Will God help us soon? She whispers. Moses bends slightly toward her, his voice gentle. Nice, God has not forgotten us. But even as he speaks, another wave of complaints rolls through the crowd. Eliav grabs Lyora's hand. Everyone's scared, he murmurs. The camp feels tense, like the air is holding its breath. The people spread out again, searching for anything edible. Roots, insects, plants, but find nothing. Lyra kneels beside a patch of sand, brushing it away with her hands. Nothing again, she sighs. Eliav plops beside her. The desert is empty, he says. Miriam walks by, keeping a careful watch over the children. Stay close, she warns gently. In the distance, Moses consults quietly with Aaron, their expression serious. Eliav whispers, Do you think God really has a plan? Lyora nods, though her eyes look doubtful. The desert wind blows softly, carrying the smell of dry earth. By midday, complaints boil over. The heat presses harder, and the people's voices rise like a tidal wave. We will die out here, someone shouts. Moses lifts his hands, trying to calm. The Lord has heard your cries, but the crowd pushes closer, desperate for answers. Lyora squeezes Eliav's hand. Why don't they trust Moses? She asks. Eliav shrugs, eyes darting nervously. Miriam steps in front of a small group of children, shielding them from the chaos. The noise echoes across the desert, carried by hot winds. At last, Moses climbs onto a large rock, lifting his staff high. The camp slowly quiets. Listen to me, he calls. God will show you his glory. He will give you what you need. The people watch him, breathing hard from fear and hunger. Lyora's heart races. She whispers, Is something going to happen soon? Eliav nods slowly. Moses' eyes shine with new confidence. When the sun sets, he announces, You will see God's promise. The crowd murmurs, unsure but hopeful. Lyra feels a spark of courage return to her chest. The sun begins to sink, turning the sky orange. A strange calm settles over the camp. The arguments fade into tired silence. Lyra and Eliav sit together near a cluster of stones, watching Moses speak quietly with Aaron. Do you think tonight is the night? Eliav asks, voice barely above a whisper. Lyora hugs her knees. Moses said God would show his glory. So something must be coming. Miriam steps beside them, her voice gentle. Keep your hearts open. God does not forget his children. The warm breeze shifts, carrying a faint, sweet smell that no one can recognize. The children exchange startled glances. Something in the air feels different. As the sky deepens into purple, the families gather around Moses again. He steps forward, the fading sunlight catching the edges of his cloak. The Lord has heard your cries, he begins, his voice strong but kind. Tonight you will eat meat, and tomorrow morning you will see bread from heaven. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Children lift their heads. Lyora feels her heart jump. Bread. From the sky, she whispers. Eliav leans close. Is that even possible? Moses raises his staff. You will see for yourselves. Hope flickers through the camp like tiny sparks. Evening deepens. A low breeze sweeps across the desert, carrying a strange rustling sound. The children look up. Dark shapes flutter across the sky. Birds, moving in a great wave. Quail, someone shouts. The birds sweep down into the camp, landing all around the people as if guided by invisible hands. Families leap forward, gathering them joyfully. God heard us, a woman cries. Liora and Eliav laugh as quail land near their feet. Moses watches with grateful eyes. "Tonight you will be filled," he says. The mood changes from fear to celebration as fires crackle, and the smell of roasting meat fills the air. Later that night, the camp buzzes with excitement. Children eat until their bellies are full. Families smile for the first time in days. But Moses gathers the people once more, his voice gentle but firm. "In the morning, you will wake to God's promise. He will send bread from heaven. Gather only what you need for the day." Liora tilts her head. "Bread, falling from the sky like rain?" Eliav grins. "Imagine if it hits you on the nose." They both giggle. Moses smiles softly at the children. The stars shimmer above them, bright and expectant. Night grows quiet. Most of the camp settles into sleep, but Liora stays awake, staring at the sky. "What kind of bread falls from heaven?" she whispers. Eliav lies beside her, curled in a blanket. Maybe it glows. He yawns. A cool wind drifts across the camp. Liora closes her eyes and prays softly. "God, please don't forget us tomorrow." Far off on the horizon, a faint mist begins forming, soft, white, and rising slowly like a curtain. The children do not see it yet, but it is coming. Before sunrise, the camp lies under a blanket of thick white mist. Liora wakes first, blinking in surprise. "Eliav, look," she whispers. The air feels cool and still, softer than any morning before. Eliav sits up, rubbing his eyes. "Where did all this fog come from?" he murmurs. The ground is hidden beneath the glowing haze. Miriam steps out of her tent, breath catching in her throat. Moses and Aaron walk together, their sandals brushing through the mist. "Today," Moses says quietly, "God keeps his promise." Liora's heart thumps with excitement and fear. Something amazing is hiding beneath the fog. The mist begins to lift. Slowly, the desert floor reveals tiny white flakes scattered everywhere, glittering like frost in the morning sun. Liora gasps. "What is that?" Eliav kneels, eyes huge. "Snow in the desert?" Moses steps forward, his voice steady. "This is the bread the Lord gives you." The people gather around, whispering in amazement. The tiny flakes sparkle like pearls. Liora reaches out a trembling hand but stops just before touching it. "It looks like little seeds," she says softly. "Seeds from heaven," Eliav adds. The camp stares in silent wonder. Families gather around Moses as he explains what to do. "Each of you will collect only what you need for today," he instructs. Liora listens closely, eyes shining. She scoops a bit of the white flakes into her hands. They are small, round, and delicate. Eliav tastes one cautiously. His face lights up. "It's sweet, like honey." Liora bursts into a smile and tastes it too. Her eyes widen. "This is amazing." Around them, laughter spreads as children and adults taste the miracle God has sent. The camp comes alive with joy. Excitement swells. Children race around gathering flakes, giggling as they fill baskets. Parents smile as they taste the sweet bread. Liora and Eliav work together, scooping flakes into a small bowl. "It really is enough for everyone," Liora says. Moses walks among the families, reminding them, "Only take what you need for today. Trust God for tomorrow." A few people glance at each other nervously, but nod. Eliav looks at Liora. "Why can't we save extra?" Liora thinks for a moment. "Maybe because God wants us to trust him every day." The wind carries the fresh, sweet smell of manna across the camp. As the morning brightens, families gather around small fires to prepare the manna. Liora tastes a piece warmed over the flame and beams. "It's even better warm." Eliav nods eagerly, mouth full. Moses gathers everyone once more and says, This is the bread the Lord gives you. Each morning it will appear fresh and waiting. Trust him, and he will provide. The people listen, hope glowing in their eyes. Lyora looks around at the joyful camp and whispers, God really heard us. For the first time in many days, the desert feels full of light, full of life, full of life. The next morning, sunlight spills across the camp, and fresh manna sparkles on the ground again. Lyora rushes out of her tent, laughing. It's here again. Ilyav skids across the sand, already scooping some into his hands. Families gather with smiles and relief, but Moses raises his staff. Remember, take only what you need for today. Lyora nods. But a few adults whisper quietly, glancing at extra baskets. What if it doesn't come tomorrow? One mutters. Lyora frowns. Didn't Moses say God will send it every day? Eliav shrugs. Some people are still scared. The morning feels bright, but shadows of doubt linger. As Lyora and Eliav carry a small bowl of manna back to their tent, they notice a few people quietly filling extra jars. One woman whispers, just in case, what if it disappears tomorrow? Lyora bites her lip, but Moses said not to. Eliav leans close. Maybe they don't believe God will keep giving it. Lyora places her bowl down. Troubled, Miriam approaches, placing a gentle hand on the girl's shoulder. Trust is hard when you've been afraid for a long time, she says softly. But God is teaching us to depend on him every morning. Lyra nods, understanding a little more. The camp quiets at night. Lyra finishes her meal and lies beside Eliav under the stars. Do you think the extra manna will still be good tomorrow? She asks. Eliav shrugs. Maybe. But Moses seemed really sure. Lyra closes her eyes, trusting as best she can. But before dawn, a foul smell creeps through the camp. Lyra wakes, coughing. What is that horrible smell? She rushes outside and sees people throwing open jars in shock. Inside, the stored manna is full of worms. Cries echo through the camp. It's spoiled. Moses warned us. Lyra and Eliav exchange stunned looks. God had meant his miracle to be fresh. Moses gathers the people once the smell fades. His face is gentle but firm. God told you not to save extra. He gives what you need each day. He wants you to trust him. The crowd listens silently, embarrassed. Lyra watches their bowed heads and feels a small ache in her heart. She whispers to Eliav. It must be hard for them to stop worrying. Eliav nods slowly. Maybe God is helping us learn. Miriam smiles softly at the children. Yes, trust grows little by little. A new peace settles over the camp as the sun rises. The week goes by and the people grow used to collecting manna each morning. Trust begins to bloom. Then one day Moses announces, tomorrow is the 6th day. Gather twice as much, for on the 7th day, the Lord gives you rest. No manna will fall. Lyra tilts her head. But last time, the extra spoiled. Moses smiles. Tomorrow will be different. God is teaching you to trust his instructions. The next morning, the people collect double. Lyra watches anxiously. Will it spoil? Evening comes, and the extra manna stays fresh. Lyra beams. God really does take care of us. The 7th morning arrives quietly. No mist rises. No glittering flakes cover the sand. Lyra steps out of her tent and gasps. There's nothing. Eliav looks around, surprised. Moses was right. No manna today. Families peek from their tents, expecting disappointment. But instead they find calm. The air feels peaceful, as if the desert itself is resting. Miriam smiles softly. Today is a gift, a day to breathe. Moses walks through the camp, hands folded behind his back. God gave you enough yesterday. Today you rest. Lyora feels the truth settle warmly inside her. God wasn't just feeding them, he was teaching them peace. Families gather outside their tents, enjoying the rare stillness. No rushing, no gathering, no worrying. Lyra sits with Eliav under the shade of a cloth canopy. It feels strange, Eliav says. Doing nothing. Lyra giggles. It feels nice. Miriam brings them warm, manna saved from the day before. See? God kept it fresh, she says with a sweet smile. Eliav bites into his piece. It's perfect. Moses sits with Aaron nearby, speaking softly about trust and rest. The whole camp seems to breathe at the same slow, gentle pace. Later, Moses gathers the people to teach. God gives you rest because he loves you, he explains. You work and trust him during the week. But on this day, you stop and remember his goodness. Lyora listens intently, leaning against Eliav. So resting is part of trusting, she whispers. Eliav nods. I think so. Miriam sits with other mothers, rocking babies and listening with smiles. The people look peaceful, their faces softer, now that worry is gone. The wind blows gently, as if the whole desert is listening to Moses' words. The day moves slowly, filled with gentle moments, singing, quiet talking, resting, and remembering. Lyra and Eliav skip smooth stones across the sand. This is the calmest day ever, Eliav says. Lyra nods. It feels like God is sitting with us. Moses walks calmly through the camp, checking on families. Miriam tells stories to children, her voice soothing. Aaron helps a group set up extra shade for elders. The whole camp feels wrapped in peace. The people who once shouted in fear now rest in trust. The day God planned for them turns the desert into a place of comfort. As the sun begins to set, the desert glows deep gold. Families gather around small fires, eating the manna saved from the day before. It remains sweet and fresh, just as Moses promised. Lyora takes a bite and sighs happily. I like this day, she says. Eliav nods. Me too. I feel safe. Moses lifts his hands. Remember this day, he says warmly. God gives you rest to show his love. The camp grows quiet, peaceful, full. Lyora gazes at the sky as the last light fades. She whispers, "Thank you, God, for today." The desert night settles in gentle peace. Morning breaks softly, painting the desert in gentle pink light. Lyra stretches and steps outside, breathing the cool air. She watches families gather their morning manna, now with calm smiles instead of fear. Eliav joins her, holding a bowl. It feels normal now, he says. Like the manna was always here. Lyra shakes her head, but it wasn't. God brought it when everything felt impossible. Moses walks past them, smiling kindly. Never forget, he says, that God provides even in the emptiest places. Lyora feels those words sink deep into her heart. Later, Moses calls the people together. His face is thoughtful, his eyes warm. We must keep a reminder, he says. Something to show future children how God fed us in the desert. Lyora leans toward Eliav. A reminder? Like what? Moses continues. We will keep a jar of manna so no one forgets the miracle God gave us. The crowd listens quietly. Lyora feels a shiver of wonder. A miracle saved in a jar. Proof that God cared for them even here. Moses kneels and gathers a small amount of fresh manna with great care. The people watch in silence. This will remind generations that God fed you each day, he says. Lyora holds her breath as he pours the white flakes into the jar. They sparkle like tiny pearls in the sunlight. Eliav whispers, "It still looks magic." Lyra nods, because it is. Miriam smiles at them, her eyes soft. The crowd's fear from days before feels far away now, replaced by awe and thankfulness. The jar is sealed and lifted high as the people bow their heads. This, Moses declares, is the reminder of God's faithfulness. Lyra feels something warm bloom in her chest, like hope settling deep. Eliav whispers, "Do you think people a long time from now will see it?" Lyra smiles, and they'll know God helped us. Miriam places a gentle hand on both their shoulders. "And he will help them too." A soft breeze drifts through the camp as if agreeing with her words. That night, stars glitter across the sky like thousands of tiny lamps. Lyra and Eliav lie on their blankets, watching the jar of manna resting safely near Moses' tent. "We were scared," Lyra whispers, "but God never forgot us." Eliav smiles softly. "He fed us, taught us, and gave us rest." Lyra closes her eyes, "And he'll keep guiding us." The desert wind brushes past them gently, almost like a whisper from heaven. The miracle of manna, once falling like tiny pearls, now lives in their hearts forever.